Well, I have to tell you, I have been getting all kinds of emails and messages and texts from people who are now becoming fully engaged in this Winnipeg Metropolitan Region Board's plan, Winnipeg 2050. They're finding out about it just now. And, you know, that's no surprise. This is summer. Hello, by the way. Welcome to Shadow at Night. It's Thursday, August the 15th, 2024. It's summertime. People are disengaged. They're out there trying to enjoy their short Manitoba summers or Saskatchewan summers or Ontario, Alberta, whatever. We have short summers in this country, and we need to pack as much action and fun and relaxation into them as we possibly can, right? So, of course, we don't want to pay attention to the depressing news of the day. Of course, we don't want to get involved in something that might take up all of our time and drive us absolutely crazy and maybe cost us money. Who knows? Who knows? So some people have just kind of been stepping away for a while. They come back, but they don't come back until maybe the fall. Now, some of you are starting to come back now, which is good because we need eyeballs on this thing. We have some very good news regarding involvement and municipal response to the province when it comes to WMR, the Winnipeg Metropolitan Region's plan. By the way, the population report was released today for the area, the Winnipeg Metro Region. 936,000 people now live in the capital region in Manitoba, which is an increase of 24,000 from this time last year, which is preposterous because this city does not grow that quickly. It just doesn't. Normally, maybe a nice 7,000 a year, not 26,000, not 22,000, not this much. So where's it coming from? Well, I got an email today, actually several of the same, of a story that was published on the Counter Signal. Now, the Counter Signal is Kean Bexte's thing. Kean Bexte used to work with Rebel News and Ezra Levant a couple years ago. He left there and formed his own thing. It's called the Counter Signal. These guys are a subscription news service. They are, how do I put this? A little bit over the top sometimes with certain things. Oh my God, documents reveal that sort of stuff, right? Very sensationalistic. So we're gonna show you this story that I'm talking about in just a couple of minutes. You decide whether or not it needs all the screeching or whether it's just been one of those Trudeau things that flies under the radar, gaining no notice until it's too late. So on the one hand, I'm happy that Bexte and his people revealed this. I'm not so happy about the journalistic way in which it was done, which to me was a D+, maybe. But we'll get to all of this. We'll get to all of this. The Shadow at Night live stream, as always, is brought to you by Canada Nano Silver, CanadaNanoSilver.ca. You've been out there, you've been working hard, you've been digging holes or building fences or gardening, building a garage, building a deck. What have you been doing to make your muscles sore? You need some recovery. You need Recover Muscle Cream from Canada Nano Silver. Experience the ultimate comfort and relaxation. As Recover works its magic, formulated with cutting-edge technology, the advanced muscle cream provides unparalleled relief, catering to your unique needs. All natural products, of course, with the power of silverceutical technology. Recover is not just another muscle cream. It's the next generation of muscle cream, crafted with cutting-edge technology, premium ingredients. Recover offers a level of comfort and rejuvenation that you've never experienced before, whether you're an athlete pushing your limits, a weekend warrior, or someone facing the daily grind. Recover is there to support you every step of the way. This and all the other fantastic products available online, CanadaNanoSilver.ca. Again, that is CanadaNanoSilver.ca for a retail location near you. Check out the Retail Locations tab in the upper right-hand corner of the website at CanadaNanoSilver.ca. And if you would like to become a retailer of these awesome products, get a hold of Kevin and Anna through the contact tab, please. CanadaNanoSilver.ca. Some hellos before we get on with things. Sherry is watching from Winnipeg. And by the way, we're going to do an experiment tonight, guys, so I want you to stay close to your comments. We're going to do an experiment. That's going to be in about 10 minutes, maybe less. People are wondering, right? We're talking about the Winnipeg Metropolitan Region plan, what it encompasses, and there's been a lot of focus in this area, which is just because they sprung this on us, man. There was no notice at all. We only found out about this maybe 3 weeks ago for the very first time, even though they claim to have been working on it for over a year. Is this going on in your city, your town, your municipality? It's an easy find. All right, so we're going to do this experiment in just a second. Michael is watching tonight from Brampton. Hello, Vicky watching in Nova Scotia. Cheryl is watching tonight in Alberta. Carla's in Calgary. Linda, hello in Trenton. Wallace watching on Facebook. Hello, Mireille watching in Lacombe, Alberta. Eddie is watching in Stonewall. Laura in Sherwood Park, Alberta. Hello, Wayne watching. Wayne and Patty watching in Norwich. Kathy in Bothwell. That's Ontario, not New Bothwell, Manitoba. Hello, Christine in Enola. Tony is watching in Calgary. Vivian's watching in Edmonton. Russ is watching in Winnipeg. Cheryl is watching in Beausejour on X. If you're watching on Facebook or X, please like and share. Let's get this out to as many people as we possibly can. And hit the thumb. It's a thumbs up, isn't it, on YouTube? If you're watching on YouTube tonight, or is it a like? I don't know what button it is, but whatever button it is, hit it. Hit it. If you're watching on YouTube tonight. Hello, Rumble. Jody is watching tonight in Oklahoma City. How you doing, Jody? Nice to have you here. David is watching tonight. Pissed Off Dragon, Notable, Amnesty, Winston Smith, I'm not even going to try. We've got all the regulars watching tonight on Rumble. If you are watching on Rumble tonight, please get this out there with a thumbs up. And if you want to share the Rumble version of the show, we're broadcasting everywhere, including shadowdavis.com, which will continue with the extension tonight just after, maybe even earlier than this, but usually just after 9 o'clock Central. All Access members get extra content at shadowdavis.com. Anyway, to share on Rumble, you hit the share button, which is located beneath the screen. Then that'll highlight the URL. You go ahead and copy and paste that to your favorite social media, email, or whatever. Let's get this out there, my friends, to as many people as we possibly can. You see at the bottom of the screen there, it says like, share, retweet, thumbs up. Let's do it. Let's get the message out there to people. And let's build our community. A lot of people say to me, Shadow, you tell us things that we already know a lot. And I say, yeah, because you've been involved in this for how long now? Well, 2 years I've been following you closely. And I say, yeah, what about the people who are just coming in now? It's like my old radio days, right? Like, how many times do you have to play that song over and over and over, man? It seems like it's every 20 minutes. It's not. It's every 3.5 hours, but the average person who listens to the radio has only heard this maybe once, twice, 3 times in the last month, because they don't listen the way other people do. You guys watch more intensely and more intently than most people do, and so we're trying to bring those people in, and you cannot bring them in if you go, they're going to go running right back into the bush, man. They're going to go, you're a conspiracy theorist. I don't want to get caught up with this group. But if you bring them in nice and slowly with sugar cubes right here, come on, here, have it. That's good. What else you got? And then you got them. And then what happens, as always happens, is that people fall down their own rabbit holes and they start investigating for themselves and they wake up from the spell they've been under for the past 4 years. This story comes from the Niverville Citizen. This is where they had that fated meeting last week. The Winnipeg Municipal Region Board tried to have that meeting. Too many people showed up, so they had to reschedule, even though they haven't rescheduled yet. They got to have a hall that's bigger, I think, than 1,000 people, because that's how many are going to show up next time, probably more than that. But this is a very favorable story, you guys, about at least getting awareness out there when it comes to turning Winnipeg and the surrounding 17 rural municipalities into a smart city or a 15-minute city, even though they claim that's not what it is. It's following all of the guidelines of the UN 2030 agenda and their sustainable development goals. It's even written in the plan. Anyway, here's the story. Almost 1 week after hundreds filled Heritage Center in Niverville in opposition to this plan, the town of Niverville has made public their intent to oppose it as well. Very, very good news. Yesterday, a statement was issued from the town office indicating council's concern over their unwilling induction into the Winnipeg Metro Region, as well as Plan 2050, the regional planning bylaw proposed for adoption by the WMR. The statement reads, the town of Niverville Council does not support Plan 2050 without significant amendments to protect the interests of Niverville. We don't need to tell you what it is. You can find out more at manitobastrongertogether.ca in case you're just tuning into this now. What is this? 2050 Winnipeg. What's going on? Are they going to take my property? You got to read the plan. It's 147 pages, but there's a lot of pictures in there too, so it doesn't read like 147 pages. And you can download that and all of the other pertinent documents again at manitobastrongertogether.ca. But how many other municipalities are not on board with this plan? Well, this article tells us that Selkirk is absolutely opposed to this. So that's one. Niverville is two. And Headingley, who seceded from Winnipeg 20 years ago or so, is the third one. But there is a fourth one now. Let me bring this up and put it on the screen. I think this is it here. All right. The RM of St. Andrews now. Plan 2050, this is what they said as of today. This was released by the municipality of St. Andrews. Plan 2050 is a long-term land use and servicing document developed by the Winnipeg Metro Region, blah, 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 blah. In 2019, the provincial government mandated through Bill 37. So again, this is a provincial bill, which is not yet law. And I believe there's been a lot of manipulation by the Trudeau Liberals as well. A lot of manipulation, and not just in Manitoba. And we're going to get to that. So in 2019, the provincial government mandated through Bill 37, the WMR, to design the plan, and they only just started on it last year. What were they doing for 4 years? The bill increased the province's involvement in land use and development. Mayor Joyce Soul has always had concerns that this may impact St. Andrews' autonomy as decision makers. The Council of St. Andrews rightfully believes that residents could lose their voice in local municipal matters. Currently, development in St. Andrews is guided by zoning bylaws, secondary plans, and the RM is a member of the Red River Planning District. But the planning and the bylaws themselves and all of the different permits are handed out in that municipality by the municipality, by council, or by an order of council given to the bureaucrats who work for council. So now we've got the RM of St. Andrews, Headingley, Selkirk, and Niverville, 4 of the 18 who are opposed to this, and I'm sure there will be many more to come. So this is good news. And again, if you guys have any news on this, anything that's been going on, anything you found out, if you want to be a volunteer, if you want to look for venues where we can host information sessions in any or all of these municipalities, please go to manitobastrongertogether.ca, follow the links, and send an email. And somebody will get back to you as soon as possible. You can send information to me as well. Now, if it's not verifiable, in other words, it's a secret conversation that you had with a councillor or a mayor or a bureaucrat, I can't put that on the show because it would be hearsay. It would be rumors. It would be me being a gossip. And that's not what this is about. We need accurate information. And I'm not saying that the information wouldn't be accurate, but it needs to be verifiable. And in that form, it's just not. Okay, so the counter signal. This is Keean Bexte's relatively new news agency based out of Alberta. Again, I was talking about this earlier. Liberals plot, scheme, hatch. So they already make it sound devious. Not that it's not, but they make it sound like this. And I'm not sure if it is devious or not. We're going to show you why I think that in just a second. Liberals plot to redistribute immigrants into small-town Canada document show. Then they go on to say they had to launch a freedom of information on this one. So we're going to read you the story, or as much of it as we can anyway. Documents reveal the federal Liberals intend to siphon immigrants and newcomers out of big cities into primarily rural areas in Northern Ontario and Western Canada. An access to information request reveals a memo sent to Immigration Minister Sean Fraser detailing the outcomes of the 5-year pilot project titled the Rural and Northern Immigration Pilot, or RNIP. Ooh, sounds devious, doesn't it? Launched in 2019, RNIP consisted mostly of newcomers already in Canada moving to rural areas, primarily to help them find jobs and support economic development. The 11 cities were, and they blur it out because I'm not a subscriber. However, I do happen to have the rest of the story. The rest of the story. And so here are the towns involved. Moose Jaw, Claresholm, Alberta, Brandon, Manitoba, Altona, Manitoba, Vernon, British Columbia, West Kootenay, BC, Thunder Bay, Ontario, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, Sudbury, North Bay, and Timmins, Ontario. So those are the towns that are involved in the RNIP program. But, I mean, the way they make it sound like this big secret thing that they needed to file a Freedom of Information Act to get, it's right on their website, canada.ca, Rural and Northern Immigration Pilot. Okay, so it's right there. It's been there for a while now. The Rural and Northern Immigration Pilot is a community-driven program. I tend to balk at that. I don't think any small communities in this country are begging for immigrants to come and live there. I don't know. I could be wrong on that. But anyway, it's designed to spread the benefits of economic immigration to smaller communities by creating a path to permanent residence for skilled foreign workers who want to work and live in those participating communities. And the communities are right here on the page, right there, North Bay, Sudbury, Timmins, Sault Ste. Marie again. So Cian Bexley makes it seem like he's got himself a prize, a scoop. And no, it's on the website. So I don't like that kind of journalism. That doesn't sit with me. There are conditions, by the way, for these immigrants to come to Canada to move to these smaller cities. You have to have a job. There's submit an application for recommendation from somebody who already lives in that city or town. So there's a lot of things that they have to do in order to qualify for the RNIP program. I'm not saying it's a good thing, because what I've been hearing, and this is hearsay, and like I said, I don't like to talk about hearsay, and I'll let you know when it is hearsay. From what I have been hearing, landlords in smaller centers across the country have been getting federal benefits for renting exclusively to new immigrants, newcomers to Canada, they call them. So if you rent exclusively to newcomers, then you're going to get some kind of subsidy from the federal government. Although I haven't been able to verify that. That's why it's hearsay. That is what I have been hearing from several building owners, from several people who own more than one home and rent out for their income. So this is the Federal Municipality, the Federation of Canadian Municipalities website, the fcm.ca. And how did I look this up? I typed in Partners for Climate Protection on Google. I just thought, I'm going to type this in. I learned this from Maggie O'Brien from Kickley. She said, you want to find out? Here's what you do. And so you type in Partners for Climate Protection into your search bar, and this comes up, the Federation of Canadian Municipalities. You go, what? Why? On their front page, on the front page of the municipality's website, Partners for Climate Protection. That's the first thing you see when you come onto this page, which is ICLEI. Look at that. There's the ICLEI logo right there. And what is ICLEI? It is an offshoot. It's an arm of the United Nations. So therefore, the United Nations puts ICLEI into our communities. ICLEI disguises itself as the Partners for Climate Protection under the Canadian Municipalities Association. And then they wind up in all of these cities' planning acts and amalgamation plans, like the Winnipeg Metro Region plan. And there's 400 plus municipalities involved in this. Now, how many municipalities are there in Canada? I just looked it up. There's over 3,500. So this would be what, 1 in 8? 1 in 8.5 municipalities who are involved in this. However, most of the municipalities involved in this program, the Partners for Climate Protection through ICLEI, through the United Nations, are the most populous of municipalities across the country. So let's play a game. Let's play a game. Let's go to Google right now. I'm going to go to the comments. And I want you guys on Facebook right now, if you're watching on YouTube, or if you're watching on X right now, I'm sorry I can't do this with Rumble. Well, I suppose I could do this with Rumble if I brought the screen back up again, but I haven't. So I'm going to do this with the Facebook viewers, with the X viewers, and with the YouTube viewers. Do you want to know if the Partners for Climate Protection, if there is a plan that's being hatched in your area and you don't know about it? What city do you live in? What municipality do you live in? Type in anything. And I'm going to show you how to find it real easy. So go ahead. Priestville, Saskatchewan, Linda says. All right, Priestville. Priestville SK, and then we type in 2050 plan. Let's see if there's anything in Priestville. We have this article from last year from left-wing corporate CTV. SAS to push net zero targets to 2050 in new provincial plan. Oh, what's this? Oh, by the way, what's been going around a lot lately, it's been making the rounds, it's gone viral, I would say, is a video from 2021 of Scott Moe, the Premier of Saskatchewan, saying, "We have run out of patience with you unvaccinated." It's actually quite terrible. But the problem is, with elections coming up in British Columbia, and then next year, the federal, we have to get the Marxists out, the real Marxists, the liberals and the NDP. The conservatives, I don't think they're Marxists, at least not the majority, not yet. They might be scrupulous, they might be dishonest, but they're not Marxists, they're just regular politicians. Like from before times, before all this crap started. So this story, Saskatchewan Premier Scott Moe released the province's plan for electrical power generation after 2035, pledging the province will be able to meet its goals and become net zero by 2050. So that's not necessarily Priestville. So we're going to get out of this article right now. And Prince George. All right, let's go look up Prince George. Prince George, BC. I can guarantee you there's a plan for Prince George. City of Prince George, Climate Change Mitigation Plan. There it is, right there. So we click on the Prince George Climate Mitigation Plan. And here it is. These are all smart city plans. These are all 15-minute plans. Our 2020 Climate Change Mitigation Plan includes updates on many key targets and provisions that will help Prince George reduce greenhouse gas emissions in the days to come. So there you go. All you got to do is look up your city and put 2050 next to it and plan. And there you go. What else have we got? Yellowhead, Municipality of Yellowhead. Put this down. Virginia. It types it in for me. I don't even have to do it. Municipality, I spelled municipality wrong and it still did it. Municipality of Yellowhead Plan 2050. All right, let's see. That's the Winnipeg one. Winnipeg. Oh, what's this? RM of Yellowhead. Development Plan Zoning Bylaw 2022 Open House. That might be it. Let's check and see. The RM of Municipality, or sorry, the RM of Yellowhead? If it doesn't have a plan yet, it will soon. What I'm saying to you guys, and especially in Manitoba, what I'm saying to you guys is that this is easy to find. And the reason that I put this on tonight is simply because people have been saying, how do I find out if they're biting their nails. How do I find out if there's a plan for my city? What am I going to do about it? Well, the first thing you can do is go to Kickley on Facebook. It's a Maggie Hope Bronze thing, right? Kickley, Kickleei. Kickley. You join the Kickley group, the main Kickley group, and then there are offshoot groups for every province and territory. All right? And when you go through all of the posts and when you go through all of the plans that Maggie has got, you quickly understand what you might be able to do to try and get rid of or at least amend these plans that are coming down. They're coming down hard. Trudeau is pushing for these plans to be launched and implemented before he gets kicked out of office next year. So that is definitely something to consider. What I put on last night in the extension, I will put on tonight on social media. The Coots 2, Tony Olenek and Chris Carbert, have finally got court dates. 4 of them in total. They have to go and spend 4 more days in court at the final week of August. All right, so that's going to be 2 weeks' time. 4 more days in court for bail and sentencing. And then, from what we hear from Granny Mackay, as of today, the Crown is going to appeal the not guilty verdicts. Are you going to try and sit there and tell me this is not political? Anybody? Anybody? Huh? All right. What about Tamara Leach and Chris Barber? Probably the longest mischief trial in the history of this country. Today, the Crown finally wrapped up their closing arguments. This story comes from taxpayer-funded left-wing corporate CBC. Key Convoy figure's defense argues he's morally innocent, quote unquote, as trial nears end. And they're talking about Chris there. So let's go ahead and check out this story. Chris Barber does not deserve punishment, his lawyer argues. And I will tell you this. I've read this article, and to me, it seemed to be fairly fair, down the middle. A lawyer for Chris Barber, a key figure in the Freedom Convoy. Now, first of all, and I'll point out the discrepancies. Was Chris Barber a key figure? Of course he was. But was he a key figure in the way that they say he was? Was he the boss? Of course he wasn't. Chris was well known on social media for doing updates live from the convoy. He may have been part of some of the plans or some of the press conferences, but certainly there were no bosses. That's the thing the Crown doesn't seem to understand here. There was no one single boss or group of bosses that were involved with the convoy. Everybody was doing their own thing. Yes, of course, all the road captains, they tried to work together as much as they could to go ahead with the police plans, but ultimately it was chaos. That's why it was so chaotic there, because one hand didn't know what the other hand was doing. So was Chris the boss? Of course he wasn't. Was he a key figure in terms of public? Yes, we knew Chris, we knew Tamara, we knew Pat King, probably the big three from the Ottawa convoy. Were there others? Yes, there were, but probably not as visible as Chris. But they're trying to pin everything on him. And by calling him a key figure, that's a bit misleading. That's what I'm pointing out here. Anyway, his lawyer argued today in closing submissions that her client is morally innocent and that there's a lack of evidence against him. And if you've been following any of the updates that come from Right Blend on YouTube or X, you know that. And Right Blend, formerly Patriot Smoothie, John Villeneuve, good guy. He has been doing detailed daily updates every day of this trial for the past year now. So Barber and Tamara Leach are jointly charged for their roles in the blah, 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 blah. We know they've pleaded not guilty to charges of mischief, intimidation, and obstruction, and other alleged offenses relating to organizing, promoting, and fundraising for the convoy. And by the way, what is against the law about fundraising for the convoy? The only illegal thing that's been found out so far regarding the convoy was the Emergencies Act, and that's it. And maybe the horns blowing after 9 o'clock, which a judge in Ottawa said you can't do, and so they got an injunction and they stopped doing it. But nothing else. I mean, it was people doing their constitutional right to gather, assemble, protest. That's what it was. That's what it was. And if you travel from Salmon Arm, British Columbia, all the way to Ottawa, you're going to be there for just the day? Of course not. You're going to settle in for a while before you decide to go back. It's a long trip. Crown prosecutors spent 2 days this week arguing that Barber and Leach worked together in a criminal enterprise to orchestrate the blockage of downtown streets and manage other aspects of the protest, including security, fundraising, and public relations. Barber's defense, led by lawyer Diane Magus, began its closing submissions by arguing the evidence against the 48-year-old client is lacking. Throughout the trial, the defense has blamed Ottawa police for gridlocking protesters in the city. There's a pic of Tamara there. Magus accused city and police officials of poor planning and preparation in the days leading up to the convoy's arrival in Ottawa, late January of 2022. The defense highlighted Barber's January 29th arrival in the city, captured on video and shared online, which was entered as evidence. Ooh, he's here. The video shows Barber in his semi-truck being escorted by police onto Wellington Street near Parliament Hill. The police are escorting him. I mean, was it illegal? He's got a police escort. Magus also cited text messages retrieved from Barber's phone upon his arrest. In them, he described the police as playing games and being unclear with the protesters. Oh, dark stuff. Barber and Leach's defense teams argue that they cooperated with police throughout the protests. They did. Court was shown evidence that Barber was informed police wanted trucks moved from residential areas to designated staging locations. After learning this, Barber decided to move his truck out of the city's core during the protests. In videos posted online, he encouraged others to do the same. That's a good thing, right? But apparently, the Crown thinks that that could be incitement of some kind. Like the weakest of weak arguments. I mean, I'm not sure if the CBC, does it sound like the CBC in this article here is actually taking the side of Tamara and Chris? Or is the reporter just so stupid he thinks that he's taking the Crown side, but turns out writing in favor of Chris and Tamara? The court also reviewed evidence of Barber's unsuccessful attempt to promote a slow roll of vehicles around Parliament Hill, which his defense argues was meant to alleviate the distress of downtown residents affected by parked trucks. He told police also during the convoy he was working with lawyers and others to ensure the protest stayed legal. Mega cited friendly text messages exchanged between former Saskatchewan Premier Brad Wall and Barber during the protests, arguing these communications show Barber was trying to do everything right, seeking advice from politicians, and so on. Magus further contended that any suggestion by Barber that the convoy was in Ottawa to cause grief was not criminal, as protests often inherently cause grief or disruption. The trial will continue next week. 3 more days in court next week. Magus is expected to conclude her submissions before the court hears closing arguments from Leach's legal team. Leach's defense is expected to argue that, like Barber, her words and actions in Ottawa were aimed at changing government policy on vaccine mandates. They were not meant to harm any person. So there. This is one of the most ridiculous things that, I mean, you know what? I probably shouldn't laugh because some of you right now are going, Shadow, please, this is a serious matter. Yeah, I get it. But no, it's not. It's a kangaroo court, for goodness sakes. It's absolutely preposterous what's going on there. And the same in Coots. And the difference being that in Coots, these guys have been locked up for what, 910 days now? Now that's a serious matter, completely serious. Not to say that Chris and Tamara's is not, and all of the other court cases that are going on right now, they are serious. But at some point, you have to go, this is absolutely ridiculous. How can these guys... Did they not sign up to be serious attorneys, these Crown prosecutors? Do they even understand when they look at their daily briefs? Oh my God, this is terrible. This doesn't make any sense. I have no leg to stand on here. I should just... And is this in the best public interest to continue on? No, it's not. I can't justify this being in the public's best interest at all. I'm just going to say, okay, fine. Let him go. We're done here. But they haven't done that yet. Why? It's political. Somebody above them is saying, you have to keep going. Same in Alberta. As I just told you, Granny Mackay told us today that the Crown is going to appeal the not guilty verdicts against Tony Olynyk and Chris Carbert. And they haven't even been sentenced yet. Over 3 in 5 Canadians want to see CBC partially or fully defunded. Majority of Canadian taxpayers support defunding the CBC entirely or at least partially. According to a poll commissioned by True North and conducted by One Persuasion, 61.1% of Canadians support defunding the CBC in some capacity. When it comes to completely cutting off the CBC from taxpayer funds, 29.2% of Canadians support that. Meanwhile, 31.9% of Canadians want to see some parts of the CBC, like English language TV or CBC News, defunded, while the rest is maintained. As for supporters of CBC funding, less than 4 in 10 tax-paying Canadians, 38.9%, want to continue to fully fund the public broadcaster. It's over for the CBC. It's over for the CBC. Younger Canadians, 18 to 34, were the most likely to want to partially defund the public broadcaster, with over half supporting cuts, prioritizing core parts like English TV and CBC News. What else did we get? 70% of Canadians 18 to 34 support either completely defunding the CBC or making cuts to its core parts. Men aged 55 and up, like me, were the most likely to support the status quo. 49% saying it should continue to be fully. What? Really? I don't buy that at all. 49, almost half of guys like me say it should be funded fully. 40% of females over 55% or 55 said the same thing. That's preposterous. CBC is absolutely useless. Useless. The CBC was mandated back in the day to be kind of like a defining voice for Canada, right? And they're no longer that. Now they're a divisive voice in Canada. But I remember back in the 70s on a Sunday night, my mom and I and maybe my sister and my dad would get together in the living room. We'd watch Wayne and Schuster on the CBC Sunday nights, Hockey Night in Canada the night before. Flip Wilson was on CBC, right? CBC was all right back in the day when you had two choices between CBC and CTV. And there may have been, may have had a TV station that kind of came in fuzzy from the United States at that time. But now with all of these choices, options online, so many channels, satellite television, satellite radio, satellite this, online that, CBC is completely irrelevant, and yet we're still funding them to the tune of $1.4 billion each and every year. We are. Is it necessary? No. Even up north where they claim it is, they have the internet. Do they need the CBC? Not one bit. It needs to go. And here's what I will give them. This is my own personal thing now. The CBC can continue on as an organization if they choose to go ahead and do that. But they need to be funded in such a way as the PBS is down in the United States. In other words, donations. So every Sunday night at 8 o'clock, they can bring in a band like the Trues or something, and they can do a donation hour. And they can put on, if you like this programming and want to see more of it, make donations to the CBC, 55 Spark Street, Ottawa. Something like that, just like PBS does. And then we'll see exactly how impactful they are. And then we'll see exactly how they perform journalistically. Because right now, all they're doing is following the Liberal government's lead. That's it. That's all. And the same goes for all of the other left-wing corporate media in Canada. But CBC, by far and away, is the worst. BC Conservatives continue to gain support according to a poll. There's an election coming up in October in British Columbia. All right, so the Conservative Party, this Conservative Party has come out of nowhere. This guy here, John Rustad, he's the new leader of the Conservative Party. He came from the BC Liberal Party, which has rebranded itself as BC United. So here's the latest polling. The NDP sits at 42%. Why? I don't know. But they do. The NDP is at 42% in BC. The Conservatives are narrowly behind at 39%. That's a 13-point boost in just a few months for the Conservative Party. And I think they show us the BC United somewhere further down the story here. Oh, yeah. BC United has declined significantly between March and August this year. They're 10% now. That's the former BC Liberal Party, like I was saying. They are the BC United now. The Greens were at fourth, around 8%. So 43% NDP, 39% Conservative, 10% BC United. And BC United used to be the government under Christy Clark. She was the Liberal Premier of British Columbia. Now, were the Liberals more of a conservative Liberal hybrid in British Columbia than the federal Liberals? Yes, they were. They had to be, because the Conservative Party just didn't exist up until the last few months in BC. And now, remarkably, they're polling at 39%. They're within the margin of error. And they're still 3 months, 2 months from the election in BC. Anything can happen. The NDP could be ousted. And what's going to happen to BC United? Who knows? But it's not going to be good. But wait. When a political party starts to panic, they start making absolutely ridiculous promises. I'm going to have to go ahead and refresh this. We've got stories coming up on MPOX, by the way. It's made its way out of Africa, just so you're aware. MPOX is coming. MPOX, my friends. Don't forget to like and share. Get this out there to as many people as you possibly can. Like and share if you're watching on Facebook, yes. Rumble, YouTube, Telegram, wherever you're watching. BC United promises to eliminate income taxes for 60% of British Columbians. What? Excuse me? What? Every politician I have ever seen in my entire life said, no, we have to have taxes. We can reduce them, but we can't just get rid of them. You got to pay your taxes. It's important. You know who had a great tax plan? What's his name? Canadians for Truth. Joseph Bourgault in Saskatchewan. Joseph had a great tax plan. You don't get taxed until you reach a certain level of income. Now, these days, I think that level, depending on province, could be anywhere between $13,000 and $22,000, maybe less, which is well below poverty. And then once you start making more money than that, you have to start paying taxes. Joseph said, well, $50,000 before you start paying taxes. That's what you should have to make before you start paying any taxes at all, federally or provincially. I like that idea, considering inflation and all of that. And, you know, it used to be that if you were making 50 grand or 60 grand or 75 grand, that was good money. And these days, man, it's more like making half of that, considering how much everything costs these days. But BC United desperately saying, no more tax, income tax, not sales tax, income tax. In a press conference in front of BC's legislature, Kevin Falcon, by the way, very staunchly in favor of vaccines and mandates and lockdowns. BC United leader Kevin Falcon announced that if elected, a BC United government, this is never going to happen, so he can say this all he wants, would eliminate income taxes for residents earning $50,000 or less. It's a good policy. It's never going to happen, but it's a good policy. The policy comes as the party plummets in the polls of the fall election. A BC United government will eliminate provincial income tax on the first $50,000 earned by every British Columbian. Oh! Do you think, based upon an announcement like that, you would change your vote? It'd be tempting, wouldn't it? I tell you what, Kevin, here's what. We'll make a deal, Mr. Falcon. We'll make a deal. You take that number up to 100,000, I'll vote for you. 50,000, it's a good start. 100,000, you got my vote. Let's make a deal. If not, you can take what's behind door number 2. Bum, bum, ba-da. BC United is pledging to make the first $50,000 in income tax free by increasing the province's basic personal exemption from $12,580. That's the basic personal exemption right now, $12,580. That's ridiculous. BC United claims that with the change to the province's tax code, around 60% of British Columbians will not have to pay any income taxes and, well, that's provincial income taxes, and will save the average person around $2,500. However, those affected will still have to pay federal income taxes. Of course. That's interesting. Let me check the comments. Did you guys write a comment down? Let me check the comments. If somebody said to you, you don't have to pay provincial income tax anymore, would you vote for them regardless of anything else they stand for? No more provincial income tax. No more. It's gone. I'm going to wait for your comments on this. I want to see what you guys have to say. Deb says BC United can suck a lemon. Colleen says no, it won't happen. Laura Angel says no. Selma says no. Stephanie says sure, at least they can't waste my money. Mike, no. Cheryl, no. Regina says no. Bob says nothing is free. Wow, there's a lot of no's coming in. Never. Tony says never. Heather says no, I won't vote for them. They all lie. Mike Poole says user fees just went up. That's right. That's what they do, right? They take, look, man, no more taxes here. But now it's going to cost you $150 to go swimming with your kid at a city pool or a provincial pool. That's just for the afternoon, $150. Gloria says no. Judy says liars. And Randy says, no, they'll just tax you somewhere else. You guys are smart. You guys are smart. I think it's like a Hail Mary by Kevin Falcon out there. He's desperate. He's got 10% of the vote. And remember, like I said, the Liberal Party of BC United, they used to be in power, man. They were in power. MPOX. Do I have that kind of music here? Let me check and... No, sorry, that's for a bad joke. What about this? No. I guess I didn't... I guess I didn't download my doom and gloom music. I'm sorry, you guys. Anyway, this comes from Sky News, UK. MPOX. UK preparing after virus declared global emergency. Sweden has recorded their first case, the first case outside of Africa. Oh no. Look at this guy. Ooh. 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 They're trying to make it look as bad as they possibly can, huh? All right, let's get past that. Sweden has confirmed it's recorded its first case of contagious new variant. Oh, it's a variant. It's a variant. That's why. MPOX, not monkeypox anymore. That wasn't scary enough. It's MPOX. MPOX. Eventually, you'll forget what the M stands for. It's just MPOX. It's a new variant. A day after the World Health Organization declared this to be a global health emergency. The strain, known as Clade 1b. I bet you when MPOX doesn't stick, the Clade virus. Clade. Does that sound ominous enough for you? Does it have the sticking power? Clade 1b emerged in the Democratic Republic of the Congo with more than 17,000 cases, 571 deaths in Africa this year, officials have said, and that exceeds last year's total. And it's only August. Scientists from the Africa Centers for Disease Control and Prevention report 96% of all cases and deaths have been in the Congo. There are currently no cases of the virus in the UK, the UK Health Security Agency says, and its deputy director, Dr. Mira Chand, claims the risk is currently considered low. Oh, so then why fuss? Preparing after virus declared global emergency. I'll tell you why. Wait a minute. I don't have to tell you why. This story comes from CP24, a relatively small and independent news outlet based in, you guessed it, Toronto. Canada must respond to MPOX crisis in Africa to prevent spread here, according to experts. Oh, by the way, Matthew Perry, of course, he died from a suicide, or was it an assisted suicide? 5 people have been arrested in relation to his death. Was he about to spill the beans on the Hollywood cabal? Some people say, yeah, he was ready to talk. I don't know, but that's another story. Let's carry on with the monkeypox here, because it's so dangerous and scary. The World Health Organization's declaration of MPOX as a global public health emergency means Canada must do its part to help stem outbreaks of the virus in Africa. Oh, so they say we have to go there and help. It's not about helping here. Where there's a fire, we all put it out quickly and the whole village is safe. If you allow one house to burn in a village, sooner or later that fire is going to come for you, said Dr. Madhukar Pai, Canada Research Chair of Epidemiology and Global Health at McGill University in Montreal. You know, I really, and again, I'm speaking to an echo chamber here, although I'm wondering right now if there's any relatively new people on the show. If you are relatively new and you're here watching, hello, welcome to the show, by the way. Let us know in the comments if you are new and you're just picking up these things now. I wonder if people are going to fall for the crazy again. Because there's been all kinds of crazy going on, as you know, right? I mean, all the different stuff that we've been facing, including much of the stuff we've already talked about this far in the show. They're going to bring back another virus. Are they going to try and implement the same stuff? Are people going to fall for it? You must get vaccinated. You must wear a mask, because apparently this MPOX will spread with droplets as well, just like COVID used to do, apparently. I'm sorry I'm laughing. To me, it's very funny. It is. William Mackus, Dr. Mackus posted this on his X today and on his Substack. Dr. Pierre Corey and Dr. Paul Merrick have their American Board of Internal Medicine certifications revoked. This is very bad. We may soon be locked down with another pandemic, Dr. Mackus says. American Board of Internal Medicine last week revoked the certifications of Drs. Pierre Corey and Paul Merrick following a 2-year investigation into their promotion of ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine as treatments for COVID, and their statements questioning the safety and efficacy of these vaccines. We've never been in a situation before where physicians who have opposing points of view were silenced. It sets a really bad precedent that you can't really challenge the status quo. According to the summary of the ABIM's decision, Corey and Merrick's statements about the safety and efficacy of these two drugs as treatments are false and inaccurate because they're unsupported by factual, scientifically grounded, and consensus-driven medical information. We know that's not true. We know there have been studies published out there that say the complete opposite of what I just said here. Well, quoted. The doctor's statements about the purported ineffectiveness and dangers of these vaccines are false and inaccurate because they're unsupported, blah, blah, blah. My take, this is from Dr. Mackus now. Canada is often ridiculed as a communist state. Oh, well, it should be. We are one. And it's going to get worse. And we've got some great stuff on communism coming up in the extension tonight from Charlie Kirk and, hang on a minute, Charlie Kirk. James Lindsay. He's in that new movie, by the way, Beneath Sheep's Clothing, and they're going to talk about that. But this interview, I listened to this late last night. I was up very late last night. I listened to this. I thought, I got to put this on the show, at least in the extension, so people can hear this. Communism isn't coming. It's already here. So that information is going to come in the extension tonight. Anyway, Dr. Mackus says, my take. Canada is often ridiculed as a communist state for the manner in which it treats doctors who still believe in informed consent and who abide by their Hippocratic oath to do no harm. But the United States medical cartel wants to out-communism Canada. Dr. Pierre Corey and Dr. Paul Merrick are some of the finest doctors in the United States, and I stand with them. I respect their knowledge, their incredible body of work, and their critical thinking abilities, which are undeniably second to none. The timing is relevant here. This is a punishment for supporting ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine for the treatment of SARS-CoV-2 and for exposing the dangers of the failed pharmaceuticals that are these formulas and the entire toxic lipid nanoparticle mRNA platform. But why now? Dr. Mackus asks. This suggests to me we're about to be locked down with another pandemic and have new mRNA vaccines forced upon us. It's coming. Yeah, great. It's coming. Lastly, they tried to put him in jail before, and then they tried to kill him. Okay, to be fair, we don't exactly know who tried to kill him. We don't. I mean, there's all kinds of speculation out there. You know who's the best with this whole Trump assassination thing? It's Dan Bongino. If you guys ever get a chance to watch Bongino, he comes on Rumble at 11 o'clock every weekday morning Central Time. He's hilarious. I love Dan Bongino's show. So from Newsweek, and I'm not even sure what Newsweek is supposed to be anymore. Do they even have a hard copy? Like, this is a fabled magazine that's gone down the crapper. I don't even know what it is. anymore. Donald Trump will be ordered to serve time in prison when he is sentenced for falsifying business records in September. That from a Fox News columnist. Andrew McCarthy, senior fellow at the National Review Institute and former assistant U.S. attorney for the Southern District of New York, said Trump will not actually be incarcerated even if he's handed a custodial sentence on September 18th, as the former president will likely get bail pending an appeal. Instead, McCarthy said that judge, Juan Merchan, who oversaw the hush money trial, will hand down Trump's sentence next month. It will be helping Kamala Harris and the media Democratic complex to label Trump a convicted felon sentenced to prison just weeks before Election Day in November. My friends, if that is not election interference, I don't know what is. And one more thing regarding Donald Trump before we go to the extension tonight. If you're an all-access member at shadowdavis.com, I'll see you there in a couple of minutes. This comes from Susan Crabtree. Susan Crabtree is from Real Clear Politics down in the United States, and she reported this today. And this is absolutely amazing, considering it's barely a month since they tried to assassinate Donald Trump. During a Donald Trump visit to North Carolina yesterday, a woman Secret Service special agent abandoned her post to breastfeed with no permission/warning to the event site agent, according to 3 sources in the Secret Service community. Shortly before Trump's motorcade arrival, Susan Crabtree says she's told 5 minutes beforehand the site agent was getting ready for the arrival. The site agent is the person in charge of the entire event security. The site agent went to do one final sweep of the walking route and found the agent breastfeeding her child in a room that's supposed to be set aside for important Secret Service official work, i.e. a potential emergency related to the president. A working agent on duty cannot bring a child to a protective assignment. The woman was out of the Atlanta field office. The woman agent was in the room with 2 other family members. The agent and her family members bypassed the uniform division checkpoint and were escorted by an unpinned event staff into the room to breastfeed, the sources said. Unpinned means they have not been cleared by the Secret Service to be there. When contacted about the incident, Secret Service spokesman Anthony Guglielmini, butcher job, said the incident did not have an impact on the event and it's under review. It didn't have an impact, but it could have. I mean, from the way they handled that whole thing a month ago, who knows who was there that they missed out seeing. All employees of the U.S. Secret Service are held to the highest standards. Are they? While there was no impact to the North Carolina event, the specifics of this incident are being examined. Given this is a personnel matter, we're not in a position to comment further. This brings up an interesting question, societally, doesn't it? Should women be allowed to breastfeed on the job? Sure, I suppose, depending on the job, but not if you're on a Secret Service detail protecting one of the most famous people on the planet. That's where I draw the line. That's it for the show tonight, you guys. Quick reminder that I will not be doing a show on Sunday night. The reason for that is because I haven't been to church in a few months. I want to go to church on Sunday morning. It's a very long trip for me, so it's a whole big 5 or 6 hour ordeal. After I get home from church, I've got 2 meetings regarding the Winnipeg Metropolitan Region Board thing, and I need to attend those. That's going to take a few hours, and I will not have time to put a show together on Sunday night. So it's not like I'm taking the day off. I'm just not going to have a show on Sunday night. I'll be back on Monday night at 8 Central for another Shadow at Night live stream. The extension continues after 9 o'clock Central on the website for all access members at shadowdavis.com. SHADOEDAVIS.com. I'll see you there in 2 minutes. If not, and I recommend highly that you go ahead and grab yourself a membership, because that really supports the show going forward and allows me to stay on the air and improve the product, which is something that I'm aiming for. I tell the people in the All Access all the time exactly what my plans are. With you guys, I'm a little bit more, but I will tell you this, that we are expanding the show, adding more people very, very soon. It's happening. It's happening. And that means more perspectives from different age groups, and it's really going to be quite something. The plans are in the works. All right. So grab yourself a membership at shadowdavis.com for all access. We'll see you there in 2 minutes. If not, I'll catch you Monday night at 8 o'clock Central for another Shadow at Night live stream. Love you all. Appreciate you all. See you soon. Bye for now.